Beginning test now. Paper may go in one container, glass and aluminum in another, regular garbage in a third. So this is an example, or these are examples of being accustomed to dividing garbage. So the correct transition word is for example. However, as contrasting, furthermore, as additive, regardless, these are not correct. It also enhances, that's compost, it also enhances soil texture, encouraging healthy roots and minimizing or annihilating the need for chemicals, for chemical fertilizers. Okay, annihilating is too extreme. Eliminating, ousting, or closing the door on. It's not ousting, which is pushing out, and closing the door is not actually the relevant. It should be B. 2 is B, eliminating the need for chemical fertilizers. Better than soil at holding moisture, compost minimizes water waste and storm runoff, comma, it increases savings on watering costs and helps reduce erosion on embankments near bodies of water. So this is the first part's an independent clause. So it wouldn't be a comma and it. It wouldn't be a comma and it, because that would make that a comma splice independent clause. Actually, if we look at the structure, better than soil at holding moisture, so that looks like the dependent clause introducing the main clause. Compost minimizes water waste and storm runoff. And then it looks like we have a list of 3 or more items. It minimizes waste and runoff, comma, increases savings on watering costs, comma, and helps reduce erosion on embankments. So this is a list of 3 or more elements. I need to get rid of it, the subject noun, pronoun that is, and I need to keep all my commas there in either case. So I think I just need to say C, increases savings on watering costs, to be the list of 3 or more items. Savings increase, don't need to say that. Also, it increases savings, that's too wordy. And I can't have the subject noun, because it's not a combination of 2 independent clauses here. It's just a list. Number 4, quantities, comma, which one would expect to see when it is collected for, okay. So I see there's a parentheses here, a closing parentheses. So I need an opening parentheses, which is going to be back up here by which. So I won't have a comma. Instead, I should have an open parentheses. So the one without the parentheses is not correct. So A and C are eliminated. B and D have parentheses. Would it be quantities semicolon which? No, semicolons have to combine independent clauses. So if I have the parentheses in which, it's no longer an independent clause. It can't stand alone as a sentence, it's a fragment. So B is correct. There's just quantities, opening parentheses, the parenthetical statement, and then the closing parentheses, comma, and then going into the main clause. Okay. Number 5, the writer wants to include information from the graph that is consistent with the description of compost in the passage. So what's the description of compost in the passage? I'm pretty sure it was yard waste and food. So the answer that meets the description of compost is not metal, it's not rubber and leather, and it's not textiles. It's going to be 33 million tons of food waste. So the correct answer for 5 will be D. So number 6, the writer wants to support the paragraph's main idea with accurate, relevant information from the graph. So number 6 says less glass was discarded in landfills this year than any other substance. Well, okay, glass is not relevant. We're talking about compost, which means we're talking about food or yard waste. So we wouldn't care about glass or metal. We care about C or D, food or yard waste. So which one was discarded more than any other substance? It looks like food waste was the largest amount of substance discarded in the landfills. And Yard waste was less than plastics and paper. Even worse than, okay, number 7, we have a THEN rather than a THAN, and this is comparison. So THEN is wrong, so A and C can be eliminated. It would be worse than THAN for comparison, and there wouldn't be a comma between worse and then. So B would be the correct answer for 7. Okay, as a result, organic material that is sent to landfills contribute to the release of methane, a very potent greenhouse gas. So are contributing, have, okay, it's present tense, is sent, so it's not have contributed past tense that goes along with it. And are contributing is the present progressive, so it's a continuing action. That's not correct. The issue actually here is whether organic material is plural or singular. If it's plural, they contribute without an S, and if it's singular, he contributes or it contributes with the S. So A or C, depending on the answer to that issue. Organic material. So they contribute to the release of methane, comma, a very potent greenhouse gas. So methane would be dangerous, harmful to the environment. What's the correct word? Potent, sturdy. Sturdy means steady or strong. That's not it. Influential means it actually, influences or changes people's mind. That's not it. Commanding is controlling. No, I guess A, potent, is the only appropriate answer. So 9 is A, potent greenhouse gas. Number 10, while composting can sometimes lead to accidental pollution through the release of methane gas, cities such as San Francisco and Seattle have instituted mandatory composting laws. Which choice provides the most effective transition from the previous paragraph? Okay, so I need to know what the previous paragraph says and what this paragraph says. So the previous paragraph was essentially compost gets wasted, this useful material. And this paragraph indicates some laws are being passed such that it's not wasted. So why would the laws be passed to not waste it after it's being wasting? It's not because compost leads to pollution. It's not a result of regulations varying. Armed with these facts, C. So armed with the facts that compost is wasted, these cities have instituted mandatory laws to make use of their compost. D, mindful of the setback, is not correct. So the correct answer 10 is C. Okay, number 11. However, given the clear benefits of composting, the environmental costs of not composting, all municipalities should encourage the residents either to create, so it's either or, we've got that correlative conjunction. It has to be an either or. So it's not nor, but, or, and. Correct answer is A, or, for 11. Starting passage 2, number 12. Which choice most effectively combines the sentences at the underlined portion? Okay, so I've got to decide between semicolons and commas. We have the street is a sea of red, period. Red is the traditional Chinese color of luck and happiness. I would be eliminating the subject and verb of the second sentence. A comma would make it then a dependent clause. The street is a sea of red, comma, the traditional Chinese color of luck and happiness. That works. It's probably the most concise answer, and it makes that second independent clause a dependent clause, which must be separated by comma because it is extra information. Red, comma, the color, and then semicolon. No, that semicolon is just completely out of place. I would not say red is the street is a sea of red, comma, the color, and then semicolon, that is the traditional. That's just, you're not combining independent clauses, so the semicolon does not work there. Correct answer for 12 is A. 13, buildings are draped with festive, comma, red banners, comma, and garlands. Okay, this is not a list of 3 or more elements as it's indicated, so A is wrong. There has to be a change. Festive and red are both adjectives for banners, and they're not equal adjectives, so there should be no comma between them. I can't say festive and red or red festive. So it would just be banners and garlands, no need for a comma between the and, because it's not a list, it's just two nouns combined by the conjunction and. So no comma necessary, it should just be all without commas. Draped with festive red banners. D is the correct answer. Draped, no comma before with, comma before preposition, no. Draped with festive banners, dash, no dash there because and garlands is not a parenthetical clause at the end there. Okay, moving on to 14. So evidence suggests that the earliest version of the dance was an attempt to ward off an evil spirit, semicolon. Lions are obviously very fierce. Okay, so those are two independent clauses separated by semicolon. Semicolon's not even underlined, so that's not an issue. Question is, which choice most effectively completes the explanation of a possible origin of the line dance? So our goal is to find an origin of the line dance. The precise location of the village remains lost to history. Well, that talks about history, maybe origin. But no, I think that's deceptive because it really doesn't talk about the village at all. We're talking about the purpose of the dance, which has nothing to do with the village. Its purpose is to ward off an evil spirit. The evil spirit was called Neon. Does that really tell us the origin of the lion dance, the name of the evil spirit? I don't think so. Lions are obviously fierce. That explains nothing. So it looks like C. Villagers dressed in lion costumes to scare the spirit away. That would explain why they're dressing up and dancing today, because back then they're dressing up to ward off the evil spirit, which would be a possible origin or reason for the lion dance. So 14 is C. So 15, which choice most effectively concludes the paragraph? Well, the paragraph here is about the purpose of the dance and what its origins were. So we want to sort of capture that. Well, it's definitely not just the fact that it's a celebration, so that has to change. It turns out the origins of line dance are irrelevant. No, they're not irrelevant. That's what the paragraph is about, origins of line dance. Whatever its origins today, the line dance is a joyous spectacle. See, that looks good. Hold on, let's read D. Things are different these days, of course. Well, what does that tell us about the paragraph, the origins of line dance? No, I think C sums it up. So the paragraph talks about the origins, and then it says, whatever its origins, because it's somewhat unknown, today the lion dance is kind of a celebration. That is a better conclusion. 15 is C. 16, the lion dance requires a strength, grace, and coordination of two dancers, comma, both of whom are completely hidden by the elaborate bamboo and paper mache lion costume that they maneuver. Okay, so this looks like it's going to be a pronoun, relative pronoun, whether it's an object or a subject pronoun. So this suggests both of whom is an object pronoun, whom versus who. Or without the pronoun at all. It's definitely not both of them, third person. And it can't just be both. Both are completely lost because that would actually be an independent clause after the comma. So that would be a comma splice. So it's either both of whom are completely hidden, of which both. No, it wouldn't be of which both. Now the correct answer here is A, no change. Both of whom, they are the subject or object of the sentence. So that's correct. Moving on to 17. One person operates the lion's head as the other guides the torso and tail. Many of the moves in the dance, such as jumps, rolls, and kicks, so these are nouns describing actions, are similar to martial arts and acrobatics. So we have a comparison here. We've got to make sure we're comparing like things, as all comparisons are. And we're not really comparing like things. Martial arts and acrobatics are descriptions of things, not necessarily actions. So I don't think no change is correct. Jumps, rolls, and kicks are similar to not martial artists. The kicks aren't similar to the artists themselves. That's not the right comparison, like to like things. Jumps, rolls, and kicks are similar to those in martial arts and acrobatics. So many of the moves, so it's the moves we're comparing. The moves in dance are similar to those in martial arts, the moves in martial arts. So D would be the correct answer. 17 is D. And I'm not comparing the discipline of martial arts and acrobatics. So the correct answer for 17 looks like it's D. 18. Which choice provides information that is most consistent in style and content with the information about the symbolism of the tortoise? Okay, by the way, I know I've got the brackets here, so I could expect an ordering sentence question about this paragraph. In 18, the lion's head is often adorned with a phoenix, a mythical bird, or a tortoise for longevity. Okay, the parentheses for phoenix tells what it is. The parentheses for the tortoise tells its purpose as an adornment. So which answer choice is a purpose rather than a thing that it is? So A is wrong, no change. For new beginnings, that would be a purpose for the phoenix. It's not from, it's for. So from Chinese mythology is not correct. Could it be for symbolic reasons? No, it's, for longevity is a specific symbolic reason. That's not specific. For new beginnings would be a specific symbolic reason. So the correct analogy or most consistent style would be for new beginnings, B. 18 is B. So, okay, 19 is our ordering. To make this paragraph most logical, sentence 5 should be placed where it is now. So 5 is different. 3 and 4 are talking about continuing the idea of what the purpose of the costumes are, the colors, friendliness, liveliness, and bravery. And then this one says their old counterparts, yellow and white lions, dance more slowly and deliberately. So it's not talking really about the purpose of the colors. So it's not where it is now. Could it be after sentence 1? Well, there are many regional variations of line dance and all these colors. Their older counterparts, possibly. Talk about older counterparts, and maybe that's at the beginning. Let's keep checking answers. After 3. No, it won't be after 3 because the 3 and 4 are connected. They're both giving the specific purposes of the colors. So that's not right. C. How about D? Black lions are the youngest, therefore they dance quickly and playfully. Okay. So that is definitely contrasting and, kind of a parallel structure, an idea to 5. 5 would say, or 7 would say, the black lions are the youngest, therefore they dance quickly. And 5 would follow by saying their older counterparts, their older counterparts is referring to the black lions. So we've got a good sort of pronoun link back to the black lions. And then with the contrast of their older versus younger and the dance slowly and deliberately versus quickly. It's definitely D. 19 is D after sentence 7. Moving on to 20. Okay, so this is going to be sort of a homophones possessive issue, it apostrophe s, which is it is versus it's, plural. In this case, there's no apostrophe for the possessive. Not plural, possessive, I meant. So is this possessive? First of all, the lion dance reaches its climax. So it does possess or own the climax. So it's not it apostrophe s. It's not THERE over there. It's going to be possessive. Now, is it possessive singular its or possessive plural? What's the actual subject or antecedent noun for the pronoun here? The lion dance. So it's a single thing. Answer's got to be B, its climax, because that's singular. Okay, so there's a singular pronoun antecedent reference there. 21. Okay, approaching doorway, dangles a red envelope filled with green paper money. The lion's teeth snare the envelope. Okay. C, envelope is snared by the lion with its teeth. That's passive, so that's not correct. Teeth of the lion snare the envelope. So that's the same as lion's teeth. Why would I say lion's teeth or teeth of the lion? D is more wordy, but actually they're the same thing, which suggests A is not correct either. Approaching. So what is actually approaching the doorway here. It's not the lion's teeth approaching the doorway, it's the lion. So we have actually a misplaced modifier. We should have approaching the doorway, the lion snares the envelope with its teeth, right? Okay. The answer for 21 is B. 22, it then chews out the bills and spits out money-filled envelopes instead of chewing it out. Envelope that had banged from the doorway, envelope that had the money in it, envelope. Okay, shortest is best, envelope. That is the most concise. We don't lose information with that because we already said the envelope's dangling from the doorway. We already said it has money in it. And there's no reason to say it's money filled when we already told it's filled with green paper money. So D, envelope, is the most concise and correct. It then chews up and spits out the envelope only. 22 is D. 23, which choice best fits with the tone of the rest of the passage? So this is a new passage. I don't know the tone of the passage yet. This is about humans versus machines. So this looks like sort of an expository, possibly an argumentative essay. So it looks more formal, third person. So it's probably not going to be too colloquial in answer for the tone. I suggest it'll be more formal. So taking scrupulous notes during hearings, okay, it's not going to be super rigorous. That's just too colloquial. It's not going to be spot on. Also, that's too casual. Do you take intense notes? Intense notes. I could intensively take notes, but what is an intense note? How can a note be intense? Now, I think scrupulous is probably the correct answer. So A, no change. 24, during hearings, semicolon, depositions and other legal proceedings. Okay, so that's not an independent clause at the end there, so it's not going to be a semicolon. So I can eliminate A and B. It's definitely not going to be semicolon, semicolon. You can occasionally see that, by the way, after a comma for a list of three, after a colon after a list of three or more, but that's not this case. During hearings, comma, depositions, comma, and other legal. So it's a list of three or more elements. It just needs to be hearings, comma, depositions, comma. C is the correct answer. D is incorrect. It wouldn't be a semicolon after depositions because, again, that's part of our list of three or more. So 24 is C. Moving on to 25. Although machines can easily make digital audio recordings of current events, they lack the nuance of human court reporters. At this point, the writer is considering adding the following graph. So this graph is a salary comparison of court reporters. So they're more than regular U.S. occupations, but less than the legal profession in terms of payment. Should the writer make this addition here? What have we been talking about up to this point? That humans sort of versus machines, right? So even with the advent of technology, court reporters are still important. So the fact that they get paid more than the average but less than the legal suggests that they're important and better than machines. I don't think so. It's not really consistent with the comparison being made. So my first is, should this be included? I would say no. And not because it does not provide information about the pay scale. It does. The graph does provide the pay scale. It's no because it presents information, the pay scale, that is not directly related to the paragraph's discussion of the role of court reporters. Right, they're important. So it's not directly relevant. Okay, so yes, yes, no, no's always have typically a tricky wrong answer. So if it were to be yes, let's look at what the tricky one would be. Yes, because it offers a relevant counterpoint to the argument that the use of digital recorders is on the rise. No, what does the payment have anything to do with the counterpoint to digital recorders? Yes, because it supports the claim that court reporting is an important part of the trial. Okay, so could you assume that court reporters getting paid more makes them important? Yeah, but they don't get paid more than legal occupation. So they're talking about part of the trial in this. Obviously, the lawyer is more important because maybe the lawyer is getting paid more. So A is not correct. I'm going to stick with C as the correct answer for 25. Do not include it. So, all right, again, I'm looking at my next paragraph. I have the brackets 1, 2, 3 for every sentence. So I know I'm going to be looking at a sentence ordering question. So as I read it, I'm thinking about which sentence might not fit in this case. And I've got a couple questions beforehand. So 26 records everything as the machine records everything faithfully as it occurs and is not subject to human error. Okay, so this is the right idiom. Is it subjected to? No. No, the machine is not subjected to human error. It's not like human errors are beating the machine over with a baseball bat. That's incorrect. Subjected from is the wrong idiom. Subject for, you don't get subject for human errors. It's not subject to no change. The machine's not subject to human errors, which means it doesn't make the same mistakes. Okay. However, the rise of high quality recording technology, reliance on court reporters as a record keeper. Okay, so reporters is plural, as a record keeper is singular. That can't be correct. So no change is not incorrect. To be a record keeper is also singular, so D is incorrect. Each as record keepers, well, court reporters, each as record keepers. So if you're saying each, you're kind of referring to individual ones. So that's not right. It would just be court reporters, plural, as record keepers. That's the correct plural to plural connection and the simplest way to say it. So 27 is C. Now 28 is our ordering sentence. To make this paragraph most logical, sentence 6 should be placed where? So it's this last sentence, where it is now, after sentence 1, 3, or 4. So I don't think it's now. Let's look after sentence 1. Court reporters record the spoken word most commonly using the technique of stenography. And then it talks about a stenotype machine. It's kind of an abrupt, weird transition from 1 to 2. So I have a hunch it might go there. Stenographers, however, with the rise of high quality recording technology, reliance on court reporters. Okay. Yeah, I think it's going after sentence 1. So court reporters record the spoken word in real time, most commonly using the technique of stenography. However, is contrasting as we're going to get into talking about machines. The rise of high quality recording technology has caused the recorders to decrease. And then it tells us about the stenotype machine that's faster than the human voice, and the type words are instantly translated, blah, blah, blah. We talk about the machine. Oh, I missed 28, and I can see where I made the mistake now. So the rise of recording technology caused court reporters to decrease. Sentence 4 indicates the digital recorders are increasing, and that's the transition. However, it's a nice connection there. I missed because I did not read answer option C. I didn't read C or D. My mistake. I didn't follow my process. I also didn't fully read the paragraph. I went right into question 26 when I knew it was an ordering sentence paragraph. And lastly, I kind of got confused on the big picture from sentence 2 when it says machines, and sentence 3 where it says computer screens. I thought they were already talking about the machine or automated portion of the conversation, comparing it to humans, when they were still talking about the court reporters all the way up to sentence 4. 29. Which choice most effectively combines the sentences at the underlined portion? Can we put them together by just saying opposite, comma, such that, with the increased reliance on technology? I mean, that works. The comma and such making the second part a dependent clause. Grammatically, it's correct. How about B? Opposite, they argue the opposite, dash, that with increased reliance on technology, errors actually increase. Okay, dashes are parenthetical. The second part of that would be parenthetical. It's indicating what the opposite actually is. C, opposite, comma, which is that with the increased reliance on technology. Okay, that also is correct. The comma which makes it subordinate, kind of like the such. It maybe even works better than such. So that's a real possibility. And then D has a semicolon, so it looks like it's keeping them as two independent clauses. And it is. Their opinion is. So I have pronoun, subject, verb. That's an independent clause for the second clause here as well. So grammatically, again, correct, but again, too wordy. Don't need to put two separate sentences there. So I'm either going to say comma, which is, or opposite, and then dash with just the parenthetical phrase. Shortest is best, so I am going to choose B as my correct. I mean, I'd put a soft question mark there because it looks like pretty much everything here is grammatically correct. It comes down to a concise language issue, I would say. And this one's just a little too wordy, so I'll go with B for 29. Because digital systems record indiscriminately, which means they don't discriminate, which means they can't pick things apart or tell the differences, they cannot. Okay, so this is a dependent clause with because, a subordinate conjunction up front, so this should be a comma here, not a semicolon. After indiscriminately, so A is not correct. C is not correct. I can't put a period because that's a dependent clause before it. D, why would I say therefore they? Because I already said because. That's redundant cause effect there. So B, indiscriminately, comma, they is correct. Dependent clause, then main clause. So 31, despite this, comma, a digital service does indeed record everything. So I've got an introductory phrase here separated by a comma. Quick vertical scan, they're all, okay, so this is which is the best transition here. So the digital recorders are indiscriminate. They can't discern important parts. And then it says a digital device does indeed record everything. But that includes loud noises. Okay, so it's continuing the idea that they can't discern between different noises. So it's not despite, which is a contrasting transition. It's not therefore. Therefore and consequently are both cause and effect, so they're not right. They're both the same, so that's a flag that they're wrong. B, it has to be in other words. 31 is B. In other words, a digital service does indeed record everything. Yeah, so that's another additive point. So that makes sense. 31 is B. They can distinguish between the words and distinguish between the extrinsic noises. So I don't need to say distinguish and distinguish. That's redundant. Between the extrinsic, no, I don't need to say that. And that doesn't reference book. Distinguish between the words and when there are, no, that's too wordy and not concise. Just distinguish between the words and the extrinsic noises with no need to restate distinguish between. That's the most concise and correct way to say it. So 32 is D. Again, shorter is better. 33. In some cases, digital recording makes it necessary for the judge to make additional announcements at the beginning of a trial. Which choice provides the best supporting example for the main idea of the paragraph? So the main idea of the paragraph is that the recorders can't distinguish noises. So which has to do with that? It makes the judge have to make announcements at a trial. No, that doesn't really support the concern about the recorders. Requires the courtroom monitor to ensure the equipment is functioning properly. Maybe. Let's keep going. Leads to changes in the roles and duties of several members of the courtroom staff. No, that says nothing about the recorders not working or distinguishing noise. Has led to the need for a retrial because of indistinct, okay, here we're dealing with the issue of distinguishing, indistinct testimony from key witnesses. So a recorder would not pick up on indistinct testimony, whereas a person would say, stop right there, as it said. So that's correct. D would be the best example supporting the weaknesses of recorders. So 33 is D. Okay, moving on to 34 in the next passage. So I think this is going to be, however, in the microgravity environment of space, contrasting to how fire behaves on Earth, however, combustion, the resulting fire behave. So right away, I think 34 is B. However, it's not moreover. It's not an additive point. It's not accordingly, which is also appropriate or additive, and subsequently is cause effect. So no, that's not correct. B. 34 is B. Okay, so 35, it's either they tried to find a method to make their biofuel combustion study. Kind of sounds wordy. Strove for a method to make their study of biofuel combustion free of drawbacks. No, that sounds wordy too. Look for a method to study biofuel combustion. Sought a method to study combustion of biofuels. So I think that's best because we also have the parentheses. It's parenthetically referring back to the fuel or type of fuel. D actually has the biofuel at the end. So what is a biofuel? What type of fuel is it? The parentheses indicates that it's a fuel derived from one's living material, which suggests bio. D is the correct answer. So it's reasonably concise, and it connects the parenthetical phrase to the appropriate word biofuel next to it. That modifies it. Okay. This deformation results in subtle variations in density that both causes uneven heat flow. So this deformation, alteration, transformation, modification. So if it's losing spherical symmetry, the droplets are losing their shape, which is a deformation. The form is the spherical symmetry. So it's not just an alteration. It has to be more than that. It's an alteration in shape. It's not just any modification. It's changing shape. This deformation results in subtle variations in density. Could it be a transformation? The method involves burning droplets of fuel. So Earth's gravitational influence causes the droplets to lose spherical symmetry while burning. It is a deformation, right? The droplets lose symmetry. This deformation results in variations in density. Yep, I would say A, no change, deformation, okay? Not alteration, modification, or transformation. Because it's not necessarily transforming into something other than fuel. It's just changing shape, okay? Alteration, modification don't say anything specifically about shape. They're just general change. Deformation captures the most concise or precise language. So I'm going to say A. I'm going to put a subtle question there, but I think that's right. Subtle variations density that both causes uneven heat flow and limits the size of the droplets. So it's variations in density that cause. So the variations cause the indensity in the preposition. It's not singular for density. It should be plural for variation. So the correct verb here should be cause without an S, because the verbs for plural subject nouns don't end in the S. They cause, he causes, right? So I think this is a they cause plural. So it's not with an S. It's not past tense. Anything here? Nope, it all seems to be present tense. So it's not D. So it's B or C. The variations, if I took out in density, variations that both cause uneven heat flow and limit the size of the droplets. Cause uneven heat flow. Okay, I wouldn't have limit and cause. So they cause and limit. Those are the two verbs. So they're consistent. B is consistent with the parallel structure. B is the correct answer for 37. 38, specially designed drop towers built for this purpose reduce these problems. Okay, I'm going to guess this is going to be a concise language issue. What are our choices. Intended for this use, constructed for this function, delete the under. Yeah, I'm inclined to delete it because it already said it's specially designed, so it's obviously for the purpose. Why would I need to say that again? It's redundant. So specially designed drop towers reduce these problems. D is the correct answer for 38. Delete the built for this purpose. Okay. 39. Which choice provides the most effective transition between ideas in the paragraph? So effective transition between ideas in the paragraph. What are the ideas that we're transitioning from here? Let's go back. So the USCSAD, whatever, students tried to find a method to research biofuel on Earth, but they wanted to simulate space. So how did they do that? To avoid the deformation, they built specially designed drop towers. But unfortunately, that only works for just a few seconds, and they can't get accurate models. So as a result of those limitations, they began different experiments aboard an aircraft. So I think the transition is kind of as a result of the limitations of their previous experiment. That would be the right transition. So what captures that? They understood the limitations had to be surmounted. No. The group sought to overcome these difficulties by participating in NASA's microgravity university program. That might be. The engineering group realized the aircraft might be the tools they were looking for. It's not a great transition. Thus, for the UCSD, drop towers are not an adequate solution. Possibly that. Thus, the drop towers were not an adequate solution as part of the program. So here's the problem. The next sentence refers to the program. Well, what program? That flies experiments, so it must be the NASA Micro-University Gravity Program. So B is the correct answer. It connects to the sentence afterward with the pronoun reference to the program, and it does transition properly between ideas. So because the drop towers didn't give good data or results, they sought to overcome these difficulties, the shortcoming of the drop towers, and by participating in the microgravity. Okay, B is definitely correct for 39. Connects on both sides, and it's the right transition. 40, weightlessness. Let's see, what do we have in a vertical scan here? Weightlessness or comma microgravity, similar to what is experienced. That wouldn't be correct. Weightlessness, comma, or microgravity, similar to what is experienced in space, is achieved. That could be, because that could be sort of in a positive, indicating what the weightlessness refers to. It's microgravity, similar to what's experienced in space, and that's non-essential. It's separated by commas. That would make sense potentially. D could work. Weightlessness or microgravity, comma, similar to what is experienced in comma in space. No, I wouldn't have the comma before in space. So that's definitely wrong. B. So correct answer for 40 is D. It looks like microgravity similar to experienced space is in a positive, a dependent clause identifying the weightlessness. Okay. Moving on to 41. These flights allowed the UCSD students to experience microgravity. At this point, the writer is considering adding the following: and perform their experiment without traveling into space. Should the writer make this addition here? Yeah, I think that's an important extra point. They're able to do it without traveling into space, right? So yes, I would include it because it elaborates on the advantage students gain from the flights. Yes, because it reveals the students did not actually go into space, a point that the previous paragraph does not address. Well, just because it wasn't addressed in the previous paragraph, that might be a reason to exclude it. Yes, because it elaborates on the advantage the students gained from the flights, right? That they didn't have to go into space. So it's the tricky opposite answer, potentially. No, because it's just focused away from the students' experiences while on the flights. No, because it restates what has already been said in the sentence. They always say that as the opposite answer. It already restates. No, it doesn't restate it. Definitely not. It's not shifting focus away. It's explaining what the benefit of the flights did for the study of microgravity. So A, yes. 41 is A. Specifically, they investigated the combustion of biofuels in microgravity for twice as long as could be accomplished in drop towers and to perform tests with larger droplets. So 42 is going to be probably a verb tense issue. Specifically, they could investigate. Does it have to be could investigate, and could be, or were investigating, or were able to investigate? I think it's were able to investigate. It's that subjunctive tense. Specifically, they were able to investigate the combustion of biofuels in microgravity for twice as long as could be. That suggests the subjunctive. So they were able to investigate. D for 42 is the correct answer. Which choice most effectively, I should read the question. Which choice most effectively establishes that the UCSD students' approach had solved a problem mentioned earlier in the passage relating to burning fuel on Earth? Okay. The larger spherically symmetric droplets burned longer. They lost spherical symmetry on Earth, so now they would get spherical symmetry, right? So that could be good. The larger combustible droplets burned longer. The larger microgravity influenced droplets burned longer. The larger biofuel derived droplets. So the problem on Earth, burning on Earth, was that they lost the spherical shape. The problem is not that they're microgravity influenced, because they weren't microgravity influenced on Earth. It's not that they weren't combustible. They were combustible on Earth. And they were biofuel derived. That's what they used. It wasn't a problem on Earth versus space, the use of biofuel. So I think A is correct. No change. Better combustion rate models may even lead to the production of more fuel-efficient engines and improved techniques for, why would I have a comma before my preposition, for fighting fires in space at future outposts on the moon and Mars. So no comma is necessary there. A is wrong. Techniques for fighting fires. Again, I wouldn't put a comma in front of this preposition in either. Techniques for fighting fires in space or at future outposts. So all these prepositions are essential and don't take commas. Techniques for fighting fires in space. Again, no preposition before the or. So techniques for fighting fires in space or at future outposts on the moon. No need for commas anywhere in that, I think. 44C is the correct answer. Okay. So these are two independent clauses. So for A, if I just make it a comma and eliminate red is, I'd be eliminating the really I would be eliminating the subject and verb of the second sentence. A comma would make it then a dependent clause. The street is a sea of red, comma, the traditional Chinese color of luck and happiness. That works. It's probably the most concise answer, and it makes that second independent clause a dependent clause, which must be separated by comma because it is extra information. B and C, they try to keep independent clauses here. It'd be semicolon, in addition, semicolon, in other words. Those are not correct. Those are not conjunctive adverbs like moreover, however, comma. So I cannot use those. Those would be clauses introducing a whole new sentence. Those are not correct. Red